Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Friday night Smackdown review. And what an exceptional night this was for the Blue Brand. For my money, the card from top to bottom was excellent. But let me shift the discussion over to Ashton. What did you think of this Smackdown tonight?
This Smackdown was the WWE's way of saying, hey guys, sorry about Battleground. Have this instead.
Absolutely. Not only that, but if we got Smackdowns like this on a consistent basis, I think it would give SmackDown some seriously needed credibility, saying this is why you should tune in on Friday nights rather than consulting spoilers or doing this, that, or the other. I mean, this was really compelling TV for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if we had episodes like this every Friday, people would actually watch, like, rather than just being like, oh yeah, SmackDown sucks.
Absolutely.
SmackDown's just filler. And even me saying something like, recently, SmackDown is just a practice run for Raw. I mean, usually it is. And here's the thing. I wouldn't be surprised if we got half the matches that we had on SmackDown tonight on Raw this coming week as well. But on that same note, if that happens, that makes me even more pumped for Raw because we had some really, really good matches tonight.
Absolutely, dude. So with that said, on that note, let's get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. And I gotta be honest, I have one Heat of the Night that's just been really bothering me, and I just want to address it here. Ashton, I could not stand how the Usos won their match tonight over Ryback. So. And
yeah,
the reason for that is twofold. Okay, there are two reasons for this. One, I think would honestly be pretty easy to brush off. The second one, though, I think I have a legitimate gripe. The first reason being obvious. They're baby faces, and you pretty much cheated to win. You could do it in a cutesy way, but don't ever think that you're Eddie Guerrero. You couldn't lace up that guy's boots. Okay? So that doesn't work for them. And it kind of goes with my second criticism of the whole thing. Just a few weeks ago, which set up their Battleground title defense, there was controversy because the Wyatt family pinned the wrong man. So when you're on the negative side of it, it becomes this thing of protest, and you're going to protest it and make a huff about it. But on the winning side of it, that's perfectly okay. I mean, the hypocrisy is just absolutely blatant. It's like they're a combination of John Cena in terms of opiness and Sheamus in terms of douchiness. I just think the more weeks that go by, the more I really find myself disliking the Usos, if I'm really being honest.
Dude, I completely understand where you're coming from on this. The Usos have been getting on my nerves for a while. I know they have to a degree, yours too. I feel like you're finally kind of starting to join me as far as just how much though. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous that they can win with the old twin magic, but when they use the old twin magic and lose, then it's some big ordeal. But at the end of the day, I think that this might end up working out in favor of Ryback because I think that this gives them material. This gives them a reason for a rematch, so I'm willing to just wait and see how it turns out.
I'm definitely willing to let this play out, Ashton, and make no mistake, guys, this was a fun tag match. I did enjoy this match, and I'll be the first one to admit, maybe my Heat of the Night does border on hyperbolic in my rage just a little bit, maybe going a little bit too far. I can concede that, but I think my main contention is don't use something to your advantage that you were making a stink about just a few weeks earlier, because it's still so fresh in my mind, you know? So I think that's what really bothered me about the whole thing. Personally, I'm just eager at this point for the Usos to lose the straps. I will say again, as I've been saying, I think the past few times that the Usos have come up in intense conversation, that I think they make better chasers than champions.
Yeah.
So let them drop the belts and let them just go back to being the sympathetic baby faces, scratching and clawing for that second reign, because I think I could really start enjoying them again. But with that said, my question to you is, do you have any heats of the night tonight?
I have no genuine heats of the night, but I do have one nitpick.
Okay.
And it's something that's been going on for a while, but I never really made a big stink about it because I didn't even really think about it that much until tonight. Why is JBL a fan of the Usos?
It's funny because both of our complaints in some way tie back to the Usos. It's weird.
JBL is a heel, right?
Right.
So why is he cheering for the babyface tag team champions?
I don't even know. That's the thing that's kind of bothering me about JBL. I think when he's really committed to his heel role, even when he may be going a bit far with it, I can still enjoy it because he has that commitment. But when he gets...
I think it really just comes down to make up your mind.
Yeah, make up your mind. I don't want to say that it's Matt
He sends
Strikerish,
mixed messages to the casuals.
Definitely. I don't want to say that it's Matt Strikerish because I don't want to be inaccurate in my labeling here, but it does seem like something that Matt Striker would do in his commentary days. You know, try and play one particular role, but then mark out for a certain guy or a certain maneuver or this, that, and the other. Like, you know, stay within your role. Know your role.
And shut your mouth.
Exactly. Like, JBL should have really been, I guess, heavily cheerleading the Wyatt family, especially considering that Harper made him the recipient of a discus lariat. But, you know, don't go and be kissing up to the Usos. Anytime a heel opposition steps up, you champion their cause and, you know, just let it play out. So I can totally see where they're coming from. I think JBL needs just a few minor tweaks in his commentary, and he'd really be exceptional, but I don't see those tweaks coming anytime soon.
No. Well, dude, I don't have any heats of the night. You already talked about yours, so let's get right into our Smackdown review. And we open with the Usos versus Ryback. So unless you have anything else to add, we can just jump right into our second segment.
Absolutely not. Let's get right into our second segment.
Which was Miz TV. Miz comes out and starts accepting all kinds of... Well, he accepts... It was supposed to be like an award acceptance speech, but I think it was just for the Intercontinental Championship. He goes on about how he's thanking his parents and everyone else, and he thanks his parents who are in the crowd. He goes over to the parents, and they say, well, the mom says that she's proud of him, and she says the most awkward thing. She says, "You're my Michael." What? Nobody says that.
Yeah, for me, and I'm still liking the Miz's direction of playing up the Hollywood and this and that. I think it packages his obnoxiousness and his arrogance perfectly into an entertaining stream that he can work with. However, this was a bit cringeworthy for me, and I think it was intended to be so. I don't know, because even Michael Cole poked fun at it, you know, one segment later. We'll get. But yeah, you know, she's speaking in like almost this monotonous voice, like robotic voice, to quote Michael Cole, you know, in that later segment. And then yeah, that was just so weird. Like, what kind of a pet name is that? What kind of a nickname is that? And he said, like, what do you think of me as a movie star or something like that? And she says, "You're awesome." And he's like, "You wonder where I get it from." No, Miz, I never wondered that. My brain is devoted to better causes. But the actually genuinely funny part of this segment was he asks her, "Who's your favorite WWE superstar?" And she just goes, "Roman Reigns." Like, without even a second thought, it's Roman Reigns. So I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, I really didn't care for this too much. I would have just liked it to be kept on the task of just his acceptance speech without making it too personal.
I feel like they should have made that like a... Well, obviously they couldn't have, but if they had like a WWE sitcom, they could have done like an awesome segment where Miz was just like, "Look, Mom, I need to interview you tonight. Just answer all the questions honestly and we'll be fine." And then she was like, "But wait, honey." And then he's going to be like, "Okay, here are the questions I'm going to ask you. First, I'm going to ask you if you're proud of me. Second, I'm going to ask you what you think of The Miz as a star. And third, I'm going to ask you who your favorite superstar is. Obviously, we know the answers. You need to go. Okay, I need to go." And then she's like, wait. And then he leaves. And then he gets dealt with that. So,
actually, that would have been a nice build-up to this segment. You know, I feel like it would have added to the comedic effect. Whereas I feel like it was lacking a certain punch. That said, though, I think this segment did get better because he does continue his thank yous, you know, afterwards, but then he gets interrupted by a certain someone as he's admiring his own moneymaker.
By a certain inspirational someone. Inspirational someone.
That's right. Bo Dallas comes out, and he's such a kind man because he's very understanding and forgiving of The Miz, not including his name in his thank you speech. And he tells Miz that he thinks he will continue to be successful and climb great heights if all he does is believe.
Of course.
Exactly. You know, I once climbed Mount Everest thanks to believing. It works. It works.
I am genuinely impressed, John. I did not know that you could do that.
I know. Neither did I. So then Miz, I think he, starts engaging Bo. He says, well, maybe we should do lunch. And then Bo's like, I'd really like that. And it seems like, I don't know, some kind of alliance is going to form here. But then we get an interruption, not just in theme music, but in a really loud pop.
Yeah, dude, Dolph Ziggler comes out, and the crowd absolutely loses their minds for him. He is so freaking over, it's almost unfair. He comes out and just talks about how Miz is giving a lame Oscar speech when all he did was win an Intercontinental Championship and that he should act like he's been there before. And Dolph talks about how, yeah, I'm sure you're really proud of your victory if you can call it a win when all you really did was lay on the outside. Well, I did all the work, including eliminating Sheamus, which even surprised me. And then he talks about how it's all over now, but you two both have something in common, of course, referring to Bo and Miz, because you're both full of crap. And Bo tells him to hold on a second and says that Dolph can be just like them if he just Bo leaves, and Dolph punches him and then goes after Miz's moneymaker. Bo tackles him from behind and Miz runs away.
Yeah, Dolph's presence in this segment was great. I really loved what he had to say to both guys. I especially loved the part where he said, I still can't believe that I did that, in reference to eliminating Sheamus, because it lent itself a certain authenticity to the promo. I don't know. That's what I really like about when Dolph speaks. It feels so natural, so organic. It doesn't feel like this heavily scripted affair. And yeah, him decking Bo in the face was great. Him trying to go after Miz was classic. And again, Miz sticking to character, protecting that face, protecting that moneymaker. And then Bo gets somewhat of a comeuppance when he takes it, starts putting the boots to him. And Bo's got this really angry look on his face. Maybe he'll come unhinged on the main roster. I predicted that would happen when he'd lose the NXT Championship down in NXT. Maybe it'll happen on the main roster sometime when he's something in one with his undefeated streak, in singles competition. So we'll see what happens there. But this is the perfect segue into our next segment,
which was the actual match between Bo Dallas and Dolph Ziggler, with Miz on commentary, of course.
I really enjoyed this match. I thought Bo and Ziggler had great chemistry. I want to see a feud between these two down the line. I was convinced of that after this match. And this was the first real legitimate test for Bo Dallas. I mean, you're talking about going against a former World Heavyweight Champion, Intercontinental Champion, U.S. Champion, and really just one of the best performers on the roster.
Has Dolph ever been a tag champ?
I don't think he has.
Oh, no, Spirit Squad.
Yeah, Spirit Squad. That's right. So, yeah, Dolph's pretty much done it all in this business, just about. And, yeah, I mean, it was a great back-and-forth matchup. But in the end, the result was all you had to do was Bo leave.
Bo actually defeated Dolph Ziggler. Can we just emphasize how big of a deal this was?
This was Bo's biggest win to date, without a doubt.
By miles.
But yeah, exactly, Ashton, by miles. Because here's the thing. I figured that Miz would have a presence in this match. I mean, given the preceding segment, of course. But even if it was just a standalone thing, these two locking up, I figured Miz would interfere at some point because they're currently in a program. However, I thought Ziggler would be able to successfully thwart it, and it would give Bo either like a DQ loss, kind of like what they're doing with Rusev these days, or his first legitimate loss. They actually gave him the win here, which I think is huge.
And you know what's really crazy is that here we are talking about Bo Dallas beating Dolph Ziggler like it's a big deal. When was the last time Ziggler won before Zack Ryder on Monday?
I can't even remember, to be honest.
It was Zack Ryder, right? No, it wasn't. Who did he beat on Monday?
He beat Miz on Monday in a non-title match.
Wait, was it?
Yeah, he beat Miz on Monday in a non-title match. Why you think of Zack Ryder, I should say, is because he beat Fandango on Monday.
That's right, yeah. Good God, my brain is just awful right now. All right, yeah, so anyway, Dolph loses here, and he's back to what we have kind of accepted as the status quo for Dolph Ziggler, which is just losing in that, just by the hair on my chinny chin chin kind of way. And Bo Dallas picks up the win, and I don't think there really was any kind of post-match, was there? Oh, no, wait. Miz and Bo were celebrating, and then Dolph kicked Bo in the head, and Miz ran over and shoved Dolph into the ring post.
Right, so Miz stands tall amidst the chaos, still your Intercontinental Champion, still with the Moneymaker intact. You, Ashton, had an interesting theory. This may, though I doubt it, this may lead to to a triple threat match. Sometimes things how Bo pinned the guy who pinned the champion, so he has a claim to being the number 1 contender, and Bo, I think, would have a claim to be the number 2 contender. So why don't we just put them all together in a hodgepodge of a triple threat? So,
yeah, absolutely. I think the triple threat would be great between these guys, especially because then Bo can pin The Miz, and Dolph stays clean, but then he and Bo can get into a program together.
Absolutely. Or if you're really committed to this Miz run, or for some reason you want to put the belt on Ziggler, which I'd be ecstatic about. I just say that because I don't think WWE sees that kind of stock in Dolph, just my opinion. You can have one of them pin the other so that Bo still maintains his streak in terms of one-on-one competition.
Yeah, that's true too. Yep, absolutely. But yeah, I think that this could definitely lead to a triple threat. They might even add a 4th person. Maybe, I don't know. We don't even know about who it is yet, but I could see it getting up to the point where it's a fatal 4-way or a triple threat, or maybe we just get Bo versus Miz, which would be really random, and they kind of screw Dolph, and that gives people more of a reason to cheer him.
I mean, it's been done before, where you think that there's going to be a certain contender for a championship, and it doesn't happen. In fact, ironically, because we were just talking about him a few seconds ago, Zack Ryder, there were points where he was denied U.S. championship matches on pay-per-views. In fact, I remember quite fondly when Ziggler was champion, Survivor Series 2011. John Morrison took his spot, and a lot of people thought Zack Ryder deserved to be in that championship match because he had gotten wins over Ziggler at the time, but of course John Laurinaitis was in control. So what you're saying isn't entirely unheard of.
Dude, the Monday Night Raw after that show was amazing, and I was there live.
I know. We got Punk Ziggler on that show.
I know, we got Punk Ziggler, we got this huge, they made this huge deal about how Ziggler should have been going against Ryder, and we got our first teaser that Kane was returning, and it was just such a good time.
Good times, man, good times.
All right. Up next, we had our no DQ match between Dean Ambrose and Cesaro. Hands down match of the night. I would say match of the week for this.
These guys are workhorses. They will give everything of themselves if it means that a quality product comes out at the end of the tunnel. Love how these two work together. And you know what? I love the tenacity and just the attitude of Dean Ambrose. In fact, some of his mannerisms make me think that he's a miniature, more unhinged version of Mark Henry, because there was one point in this match that I had to laugh because he was putting his boot against Cesaro's throat, and he's like, "Who sent you out here, huh? Who sent you out here?" And then he goes out to the ring to get chairs, and I think he kept up with his phrase, "Is that all you've got? Is that all you've got?" Just really.
That's becoming his catchphrase, and it kind of scares me that he's starting to use it more often, because it could go from cool because he said it in a really, really opportune time to lame because he's overusing it.
Right. Dean Ambrose is a guy that it's funny because I think you want to be careful not to give him any of those things. Avoid slogans, avoid catchphrases, avoid all those cutesy things, because I don't think he fits that mold of babyface. I don't know. He just seems...
Stop trying to turn Dean Ambrose into a brand is what it comes down to.
Thank you, Ashton, because I think that sums it up succinctly and perfectly. Dean Ambrose is not a brand. He's a kick-ass performer.
I mean, he is a brand, but you're not supposed to be so freaking transparent about it.
Exactly. It's the transparency that I think is the problem. That said, though, this match had no problems because I just loved the collision that these two had. And let me just tell you something. His rebound lariat, I think it really is my favorite move in his arsenal, even more so than Dirty Deeds, his freaking finisher.
You know where he got that from, right?
Where did he get it from?
Nigel McGuinness.
There you go. There he
and
is.
McGuinness has fully endorsed Ambrose's usage of it, too.
Well, that's because McGuinness is a beast. Friggin' McGuinness is awesome. But, yeah, I mean, the impact of that lariat, man, it is beautiful. I'm like, every time I see it, I pop for it. And then Cesaro, I think, had spot of the match because Dean Ambrose is starting to litter the ring with chairs. And then, they have a little skirmish, back and forth. Cesaro gains control over it, and he does an apron superplex, from that point onto the pile of chairs. What?
Yeah, Cesaro's strength is ridiculous, as always, but this match had some really incredible spots, that being one of them.
Also, which I think you and I would be remiss, seeing as how we emphasize it so much when it's so good, and not pointing this out. I feel like Cesaro had great heel psychology, and Dean Ambrose made it all the better by being such a terrific babyface, because there was a lot of focus on the injured shoulder here.
Absolutely. Dude, the freaking kendo stick shots to the shoulder were brutal.
Yeah, they were. I thought Cesaro did a magnificent job of really zoning in on it, and of course Dean for staying consistent with it. That's what really makes a pairing like this work. You know, when you're maliciously focusing on a body part, and then, hey, here's a thought, you sell that body part. I've always hated the quick recoveries that a Cena might have, or other guys might have when it comes time, you know, for the clutch of the match. You know, getting.
It's pretty much just Cena, though. Cena and Sheamus.
Yeah, Cena and Sheamus are the most, like, really recent examples throughout wrestling history that I can think of. But, yeah, Dean stays consistent here. It was great that he kicked out of the apronplex spot on the chairs, because I actually thought Cesaro had the win there, so Dean kicking out actually legitimately caught me by surprise.
Dude, here's my thing. I almost got spoiled by this. Spoiled for this match, because I liked the Dean Ambrose Facebook page a long time ago, like probably before he even debuted on the main roster. I don't freaking know when it was. And yesterday being Thursday, a day before Smackdown was on TV, they posted photos from this match, and one of the photos was an action shot of Ambrose eating a neutralizer, and I was like, oh, holy crap, is he gonna lose? So eventually in this match, Seth Rollins comes out to interfere, and he starts beating the ever-loving crap out of Ambrose. And before we move on to talk about the match itself and what happened after, let me just point out how absolutely abysmal the camera work was here. Thanks a lot again, Dunn. But yeah, Rollins comes out, beats the crap out of Ambrose, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I can kind of stomach this loss. If he's going to lose because he was 2-on-1 and it was perfectly legal because there was no DQ, okay, yeah, I can handle it. Ambrose comes back to win with a roll-up.
And that's what I loved best about this match. Because when you have a match of that physicality, when you practically go to war with another competitor, with interference on top of it that you've always got to look over your shoulder about, this is the kind of victory you go for. Because to me, even though I know people are concerned about Cesaro lately because he dropped Heyman, he's trying to be an authority guy, this and that, for me, I don't think our prospects have ever looked better, speaking for me personally, because this was one hell of a showing, and he caught Cesaro with one maneuver. And that's what I loved about it. If he hit dirty deeds on a steel chair lying around, then I'd be a little, great for Ambrose, of course, but it sucks for Cesaro. I feel like everybody comes out looking great with an ending like this.
Yeah, exactly. It was awesome, and I was so shocked because I legitimately thought Cesaro was winning this match because of that freaking picture on Facebook. So sometimes the opposite of spoilers is what happened to me.
There you go. Because didn't Cesaro nail a neutralizer after the match?
Yeah, he did. And I was like, oh, that's when he hit it. And yeah, he hit it after the match was already over. So thank you, kind of, Dean Ambrose's Facebook page for anti-spoilering me.
Welcome. But, then Seth returns to continue perpetrating his assault, and he pretty much gets up in Dean's face, pulls him by the hair and says, "When are you just going to learn to die, huh? When are you going to stay down?" And he starts to pick Dean up, so he's on all fours. He hits the curb stomp, pretty much smiles at his triumph. And you know what, Ashton? Because of the way that Battleground shaked out, because I was just convinced that Dean would get the win there. They'd raise the stakes at SummerSlam, and then Seth would get the win. The more that Seth comes out on the winning side and really just being vicious with Dean Ambrose, the more I think that Dean just might get his comeuppance at SummerSlam.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Is there a stipulation on that match?
No, the match hasn't even been formally announced yet, I don't think.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Holy crap. Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Jeez, man.
I mean, dude, if we're being honest with ourselves, the only match that's been formally announced is Cena Lesnar for the title.
Yeah, I guess that's true, isn't it? Well, that means that this coming Monday is going to be the Let's Announce All the Matches episode of Raw.
Oh, goody!
Hey, I have no problem with it. We got that the first episode of Raw after Money in the Bank, and everyone was talking about how great it was, so yeah.
That's true.
Thank you.
That's true.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, so Ambrose wins and then gets curb stomped and neutralized afterward, not in that order. But then up next, we had Naomi versus Heel Paige.
Yeah, I will say it's funny because I know you thought that this feud was kind of in a lull because they were just really basing it off of really one really prominent video clip, and that was Paige losing the championship, and then they had the whole frenemy thing going on. And now that we're past it, they actually got a really great video package, bringing us from the very beginning when Paige, caught AJ by surprise, all the way to now. And I thought it was really well done. I'm loving the shine that the women are getting lately, whether it be NXT or the main roster, with these hype packages. It is awesome.
Yeah. It's beyond awesome. It's incredible. Like, I was even thinking when it was on, I was like, holy crap, this package is still going. Just thinking like, oh my god, they put this much effort into a Divas match hype package. Like, it's amazing.
Which, you know what that tells me? That I think they're really going to give these two ladies the nod at SummerSlam to just go and tear the house down. I really do think they'll get a respectable amount of time. I really do. I'm just
I could
convinced.
see them getting 12 to 15 minutes.
I could too, and I hope it is the latter. I hope they get the full 15, because I think they can blow our minds with that amount of time. I really do. So, Paige pretty much comes out. Well, Naomi does first, and this is another nitpick I have. Of course, we can't talk about Divas in our Heat of the Night segment. The Funkadactyls are over. You're probably working on it, so I'm going to wait and let this play out. But we really need to get Naomi some new music. Maybe even something she recorded herself. I would not be opposed to that. Go the Tyler Breeze route. So she comes out, Funkadactyl.
Well, I mean,
music.
she does have that song that she made and had like the music video and stuff for that was on Total Divas, so they could use that.
That's true. I don't really know. I guess it.
Frankly, I'm surprised they didn't do that for Cameron, to be honest.
Yeah, really. I
thought they
know,
were both going to use the music that they made.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. But anyway, she comes out. Then Paige comes out, kind of skipping like AJ, still doing that imitation. Gets in the ring, gets on the mic, and then this is where I kind of scratch my head a little, because I don't know if this is trying to say that maybe Paige in her own way has snapped because she needs the Divas Championship. But she says, I just want to clear something up for everybody, okay? Me and AJ are still friends. And I think she said something like, hoping you're okay, or what have you. And then and she's just like, AJ, I just want you to know, I still like you. And Naomi, I want you to know, I like you too. So that's great. Apparently her and Bo Dallas have been having meetups lately, talking about how to treat other people.
And then Cameron's music hits, distracts Naomi, and Paige gets Naomi from behind.
Exactly. And something really good came out of this match, though, despite how brief it was. When Paige does get Naomi, she hits her with the Fisherman Package DDT, which is now called the Rampage.
I like that name.
I approve. Much better than her.
Dude, I'm going to go there. I think that the Rampage might be one of the top 5 finishers in the entire WWE, regardless of gender.
Wow. You know what? I really couldn't disagree with you, because nobody's kicked out of it. I mean, and that's...
No. I don't mean from a kayfabe perspective. I mean the way it looks.
You mean from like an aesthetic standpoint?
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. It's a sick-looking maneuver. I love it. And I think there's also like an air of simplicity to it.
I mean,
as
like
well.
that marquee, like, oh my god, the Canadian Destroyer is the best finisher ever kind of thing.
Right.
Like, it just looks awesome. It looks devastating.
And that's the thing, like, you mentioned the Canadian Destroyer, which I thank you for doing so, because like I was saying, it seems like a simpler maneuver as well, at least in terms of like its fluidity and everything else. Like, you got the Canadian Destroyer, you got all these flips and everything else, it's cool, and I love it, and I pop every time I see it. But it does kind of have those, I guess, cartoonish elements, you can almost say. With Paige, though, it's like, no, I'm just going to beat you down, and this is how I'm going to do it.
Right.
So, it's a great maneuver. Gets the win off of it, skips up the ramp, her and Cameron Lockeye. She pretty much says, hey, she's all yours, good luck with it. Cameron comes in, and she says, I am not in your shadow. And she starts putting the boots to her. She says, I'm the star. I'm here to make a statement. Watch. And she tries to throw Naomi out of the ring. Naomi gets like a modicum of offense in the form of like a right hand. Looks like she's going to go off the top rope or something, but gets shoved off, and I think takes the bump beautifully, because to me it looked nasty. And then Cameron, goes outside, and she's like, I'm here to make a statement. I'm the star. And then I think she puts on lip gloss or something. And you can actually hear people in the crowd saying that she's not good looking. I think even some people just came around and said, you're ugly. So she is garnering that heat, I guess. I just want this program to be over. I can't wait for their SummerSlam matchup because I think whoever emerges victorious in the Paige AJ matchup at SummerSlam, and it could be Paige, she'll have to answer to Naomi, I think, for the Divas Championship down the road. So I look forward to it.
John, I hate myself, but I'm going to go there.
Okay.
Cameron's a good heel.
I agree with you. Dude, you're talking to the guy that said that I believe Cameron could be the top female heel in the company. So,
yeah, but I didn't want to believe it then, and I'm starting to have to accept it now, and it's really hard.
We'll get through it. Just remember that I said it. Imagine if,
John, my tummy hurts.
It'll be okay. There are worse things, like when Jake Roberts said that Cameron had a legitimately good DDT and that Randy Orton should learn from her. I still sleep with a nightlight after that. Cringeworthy.
Not as cringeworthy as a grown man sleeping with a nightlight. Get it fixed.
Hey! I'm working on
it. All right, are you ready to move on?
Absolutely, dude. Let's move on.
R-Truth versus Bray Wyatt. I have literally nothing to say about the match. The only thing that I really want us to talk about is the post-match. So if you have anything to say up until that point, go.
Absolutely not. Bray Wyatt destroys R-Truth. My only disappointment, and I'm being only semi-serious here, I was fully expecting Xavier Woods to come out and lecture R-Truth.
Yep.
Same. I was hoping, because we got the start of it on Monday. We got a continuation on main event, which was a pleasant surprise.
Dude, that tag team finisher, yes, please.
Oh, God, I love Kingston and Big E as a tag team with that. Dude, they murdered them. It was great. I'm telling you, I'm loving the angle. That's why I was disappointed we got no continuation, not even a video package or anything for Friday.
I think they're really trying to save it for the live stuff.
Which is great. You know what? That, I think, is a huge compliment to this angle. So far, I've got to be very cautious with how I speak about this because they could screw it up at any time. But he destroys him, and then I love what Bray says here because for some reason I still feel like Jericho is going to turn before this is all over.
Hang on one second. Before we talk about the post-match, all I want to add is that R-Truth sold Sister Abigail like absolute death, and I want to commend him for it.
Definitely. Yeah, it's about time, that finisher started looking brutal again. I haven't seen a sell that good since actually Rey Mysterio. Yeah, Brian ate a really good one as well, but I keep thinking about Ray's where he just intercepted him, and it looked devastating.
Wasn't that last year, though, 2013?
I think, that was 2013. It was like a
So then, I would say Brian is the most recent example then.
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely concede to you on that. But then the post-match, because really I think this was a succinct promo from Bray, if I'm not mistaken, Ashton, because really all he says is, hey, Chris, R-Truth was there when you needed him. Where were you when he needed you? And he pretty much, again, makes the claim, you're no savior.
And he even says when he needed you most.
When he needed you most. Because, he's at the mercy of the wolves. And Chris is nowhere to be seen. So, to me...
What's up with that, Chris?
Either R-Truth just being dominated like this is going to lend itself to the Xavier Woods angle, and I'm saying this seriously, where he joins their ranks and expect Titus to as well, and I'm really swallowing the groan. Help me, Ashton. Oh, God. That hurt going down. Or, maybe Truth and Jericho maybe even have a match on Monday, because Truth says, I was thinking about what Bray said, and he's right, where were you? And then Jericho's like, well, hey, don't get hot with me, man. If you really want to settle it, we can do it in the ring, and maybe they have a match on Monday. I mean, I'm just spitballing here, but I think it's a possibility, so we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, dude. I mean... I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing how this progresses, because the thing with Jericho and Wyatt is you never know what they're going to say, what angle they're going to take. I could see Jericho turning heel. I don't know if he would side with the Wyatts, but it's a possibility, which again is just another reason why we just kind of have to sit back and watch it unfold.
Yeah, the Bray Wyatt character is so interesting because he's received... Well, I can't even really say that because the last few reactions, depending on the crowd, he has been getting booed more.
And boring chants. Yeah.
I'd still say, though, that in the majority, he is a babyface because they still light up the cell phones. They still take part in the act. So I wouldn't still consider him wholly heel yet, even with this angle. So it would be interesting if maybe Jericho comes out one night, maybe after his loss at SummerSlam, and he says, I was in that arena, and all you people could do was throw your support behind the spider. Well, if you want to get caught in the web, fine. Don't expect me to save you. From this point onward, Jericho's focus is saving himself. And, we get the turn. Or we could just stay with Jericho exiting as a babyface yet again, which I wouldn't mind. But again, it's as you said, Ashton, a lot of intrigue in this narrative.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have anything to add?
Absolutely not. And if you don't have anything to add, we can move on.
All right, up next was our main event of the evening, Roman Reigns, Alberto Del Rio. And you know what, John? Even though it wasn't really, the last 2 minutes of this match felt like a full-on squash.
Yeah. But, you know what, before we get into that, there is one compliment I have to pay this match. I had said earlier, I used the word authenticity to describe Dolph's promo style. What I loved about this match were two moments that I don't really think would have gotten much scrutiny otherwise. It was when Roman Reigns was trying to charge into the corner with his clothesline to set up his signature offense, his sequence of maneuvers, and Del Rio responded with an elbow. And the other point being when he tried, him being Roman Reigns, going for that apron drop kick, and Alberto Del Rio moved out of the way. That I like that because it shows that guys are paying attention to their peers on the roster. Like, I don't need to explicitly know that you're studying tape. Like, I don't need that commentary line thrown in there about the guy. It's just nice to assume that everybody is watching everybody else so as to stay on their A game. And I really like that. I like that Alberto Del Rio seemed to have Roman Reigns scouted, with the exception, again, of those last 2 minutes. I thought that was great.
Yeah. So. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, I'm glad that they at least let Del Rio show that he was putting effort into it and that he could stand up to Roman Reigns for a while. But at the end of the day, Roman Reigns is just too OP.
He is. He really is. I would have almost liked them to go one step further, but then it would have made Del Rio seem, I think, too powerful with his current state, and I know the focus, the pet project is Reigns. I would have loved if somehow he could have turned the Superman punch either into like an arm breaker and then into his submission hold, or just some unique counter that focuses on the arm. But then when he hit it, I knew he was one and done. And I think Roman Reigns is a guy, he's probably the first guy in quite some time, Ashton, where he gets the signature off and then immediately has the succession of the finisher.
Yeah, it's so weird because normally you'd expect, like, he hits one signature and then he's going for another, but it gets reversed, and then he goes for it again and it gets reversed, and then eventually he hits it. But no, he just, one after another, he nails all of his signature offense.
Yeah, and it's been that way for the past few matches, so it's not like you and I are, like, overly picking apart a phenomenon that occurred within the context of one match. This has been going on for a while now, and I don't really know if I'm a fan of it or not. See, because I know WWE, I mean, they've even given Roman Reigns the nickname of the Juggernaut at this point. And I don't know, maybe it's because I've gotten older and our tastes change and the things that appeal to us do change. Because I used to love, when I was a kid, watching Batista dominate. One of my favorite Batista segments, and I think I've said this before, was when he was in his WrestleMania program with Triple H. And Triple H is about to crack his skull with the sledgehammer. And Batista, he grabs it and he wrestles it away from him. And he kind of just looks at Triple H and he says, "I don't need this." And he breaks the hammer over his leg. Yeah. It was awesome. And the look on Triple H's face, he sold it perfectly. So there are times when being OP can be freaking awesome and create like that goosebump-inducing moment. With Roman Reigns,
it only works, though, if you're going against somebody else who's equally OP in the opposite alignment of you. Like, Triple H was unstoppable at that time.
That is very true, Ashton.
It all comes down to your competition.
That's an excellent point. I think you and I have both said that sentiment many times over in our time doing TWitWoW. So it certainly stands true here, because Roman Reigns is just mowing these guys down like he's human machine gun fire. It's like, just stand in line so I can hit you and move on to the next one. It's ridiculous. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, Ashton, didn't he even execute that succession on John freaking Cena at Battleground? Didn't he get the Superman punch and then the spear? And then it was broken up at 2? I think he did.
Did he? I don't remember very well.
Yeah, it shocked me, dude, because I really believe he did. I think he got the Superman punch on him, and then I don't think you and I were expecting him to get the spear. I personally thought it was going to get intercepted into an AA or something. But I think he freaking got it. He got it off on John Cena even. And that's ridiculous to me. I don't know necessarily a good way or a bad way. I'm still trying to sort that out. But I think you make an excellent point. unless his opposition is equally OP like Triple H was to Batista at that time.
Yeah.
It's just kind of looking like these guys are helpless. If I didn't know any better, I'd say Roman Reigns was the heel for his dominance. So, I don't know.
You don't even know.
I don't even know, man. It's crazy because I like Roman Reigns.
Right.
And I don't want to turn against him, and I don't want to start really being critical of him, but I'll always be honest. But at the same time, like, I don't want him to be, cannibalized by the system.
Right.
I don't want him to be so beloved one day, and then everybody's already hating him. And it seems like that's slowly starting. Because I think even when he was setting up the Superman punch, you could hear the boos. And I don't think WWE would can boos for their pet project. So
yeah, no kidding. Definitely not.
Those to me were entirely organic, and it poses a problem. How significant a problem? Well, that'll be up for WWE to decide, and a course of action will be taken respectively of that.
Right.
But, you can tell it's already starting. And I just want him to avoid it as much as possible because I think he is fun to watch and he is exciting. We've just got to learn how to control it. Too much, too fast. I mean, look at the Usos.
Right.
We don't want that for Reigns because I think he's a good guy, and he wants it bad.
And we want to make it perfectly clear here. When John says too much, too fast, he doesn't mean, they're getting handed too much too early in their careers. We mean they're getting handed too much for as early as they have been over. The Usos were super over for like a month, and then they won the tag titles. Like, it was, everyone was talking about, it's been such a long time coming. But at the end of the day, those people were people that have been fans of the Usos for years. With Roman Reigns, he's starting to get really monumentous reactions now. To give him the title within the next month would be blowing your load early. Just like that, I feel like they did that with the Usos. Like, if they would have really garnered a lot of heat for the New Age Outlaws and built the Usos up until WrestleMania and had that match at WrestleMania, it could have been a huge moment. But when the Usos did win the titles, it was like, yeah, yay, hooray. Now what?
Yeah, and I know the end game apparently appears to be Roman Reigns winning the championship off Lesnar at WrestleMania 31, but I'm not even sure if that's too soon or not. I don't know if they could pull off the successful WrestleMania. Let me be clear. I do think they can. I just don't know if they should. Let me put it that way.
Right.
Because I want Roman Reigns to be absolutely ready on his schedule, not WWE's.
Yep.
Because if it's WWE's, it's WrestleMania. And I actually am very much looking forward, Ashton, to our
I'm
future.
telling you, man, I think they're going to try and make Cesaro at Mania rather than Reigns. I think they're going to save Reigns for even 6 to 8 months later. I don't think they're going to blow it that early.
I really wish you were right, dude, but looking at things as they currently are, and in WWE, they could change overnight.
Oh, you're absolutely right, but
yeah.
as the status of WWE goes right now, I think they're going to save Reigns for a little later.
I hope you're right. And really, that's not just because I'm a Cesaro mark. It's because I really do want what's best for Reigns. And I was getting ready to say, I look very much forward, Ashton, to our Raw TWitWows, our Smackdown TWitWows, our pay-per-view discussions, everything revolving around Roman Reigns, because I think you and I will pay particular scrutiny, like how much he's grown between this point, tonight, to WrestleMania 31, and whatever spot he's in, I think we'll assess whether he's genuinely deserving of that spot or not. Because again, I love him. I think he's an exciting guy, a fun guy to watch, but I don't want him to just be another cannibalized product of the system.
Right.
Because I think he deserves better than that. Because again, another thing I was getting ready to say too, why I love all three members of the Shield, they are so dedicated to being the guys. Like, every interview from every guy, they say, we want to sell out arenas. We want to be the guys that WWE can come
And
to.
you know what, dude? I don't know if you heard it or not, but Daniel Bryan had an interview a couple days ago, and he was talking about how when the Shield came in, they made everybody step their game up. Those three guys coming in made the entire roster get better, and he thinks that Kenta is going to be another guy that does the same thing.
And I can agree with that assessment, considering his lineage. I have not formally watched much of Kenta's work, but I know he is the originator of the GTS and the Busaiku knee kick that Bryan uses. That too comes from Kenta. So
right.
I can definitely see it. And it's great that these guys exist to make the locker room step up. And that's great and everything, and that should definitely be encouraged more. But is that worthy of the torch? Is that worthy of the mantle? That's another discussion entirely.
Right. Obviously.
Really, as things currently stand, if Dean Ambrose were to stay on this trajectory, I'd feel more comfortable giving him a world championship shot, not the title itself, but a world championship storyline, than Roman Reigns right now by himself, as things currently stand. Can they make the turnaround? I'm interested to find the answer to that question. So,
I guess we're just going to have to wait and find out. But as it is now, SmackDown is over, so let's get into high spots and low shots.
Yeah, my low shot, let me see. You know what? My low shot is going to be the team of Rybaxel. Because they lost, and they lost due to an illegal maneuver that was just completely out of their control. So not only did they lose, they were screwed over by the system that should be protecting these matches and enforcing the rules. So not a good night for the big guy and the medium guy.
I'm going to go there, John. My low shot is Cesaro, because he couldn't win a no disqualification match even with the help of Seth Rollins.
That is true. He had assistance in the form of Dean Ambrose's arch enemy, Seth Rollins, and weapons. Any weapon he wanted. I mean, he used kendo sticks, chairs. He apron flexed Ambrose on a pool of chairs in the ring. So, yeah, even with all that, couldn't get the job done. As much as I love Cesaro, I do have to concede that's a perfect low shot, which also is a perfect segue into my high spot because it's Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
He did phenomenal tonight. Put on a clinic with Cesaro, averted the onslaught of Seth Rollins within the context of his match, withstood an apron plex on steel chairs, and still kicked out at 2, which, I'll be honest, maybe in other cases I would have found OP, but for some reason Ambrose just makes it work, and I loved it. Caught Cesaro in a package, so we got the quick win. Yes, he ate offense afterwards, but he...
You know why Ambrose makes it work?
Why do you think he makes it work?
Because his gimmick is literally that he is a tough son of a gun. Like, it's exactly the same thing that Stone Cold... Like, Stone Cold's gimmick was he was a tough SOB who swore a lot, flipped you off, and drank a beer about it. The problem we have with Cena and the Usos is that their gimmicks are that they're freaking Boy Scouts, and they're still this OP. They aren't... Like, the whole point of John Cena being billed as tough is that he's a Marine when he's just a freaking Marine in the movies. Like, it's BS detectors going off everywhere, whereas with Ambrose it feels legitimate. It feels like Ambrose is that, like, tough, hard-ass son of a gun.
Absolutely. You look at any Ambrose backstage promo or anything like that, you know, where he's just kept coming after Seth Rollins and he said, hey, I'm not going to stop until I've exacted my revenge, you know, in a pound of flesh, your flesh, Seth Rollins, and your sugar daddy Triple H can't stop me. You know, that's a guy that's totally BA on all fronts. And he gets my respect, my ultimate respect, in the form of my high spot. So, who's your high spot?
My high spot is Bo Dallas because he won against his most legitimate opponent yet and came out on top, celebrating with The Miz.
The streak lives. I mean, as far as JBL is concerned anyway, the streak lives. 17 and Bo, according to JBL. I have to think it's either going to be, as you said, Ashton, a triple threat Intercontinental Championship match at SummerSlam, which I think would be stupendous, or at Night of Champions, you know, a month later, Bo faces the winner of the confrontation between Miz Ziggler. So it would seem, if that would be the case, if the latter would be the case, that Ziggler would cinch yet another Intercontinental Championship reign, which I'm not going to get any complaints from me.
Right. All right, John. You know what's next.
30-second hot seat. Come at me. Let's do it.
All right. 30-second hot seat. Here we go. Now, obviously we know that Paige has turned heel. This is a Diva-related 30-second hot seat,
Ooh,
so I
I'm
hope you're
excited
prepared for this. Now, we know that Paige has turned heel and the BFFs have broken up. So, my question to you is, obviously Charlotte and AJ are our current champions. Who do you see being the next NXT Women's Champion and the next WWE Divas Champion? You have 30 seconds, my friend, and that time starts now.
I see Bayley becoming the next NXT Women's Champion. I'm going to say sometime in either October or November. And I see Paige becoming the next Divas Champion, honestly, as early as SummerSlam. I think this heel turn is going to cinch her the championship, and I don't think they'll have any more back and forths on that. I think Paige will have her run at the top after this victory at SummerSlam. So,
As a heel, though.
As a heel, yes. I want to make that
dude, I
clear.
can get behind that 100%. Absolutely. That would be awesome. I hope it happens. You got it done in like 20 seconds, so congratulations on that. Let's close this baby out.
Actually, before we do, I just wanted, and you completely agree then with Bayley as well, that she should be the next NXT Women's Champion?
Or Sasha Banks.
Or Sasha Banks, that is true.
But I just hope that Sasha gets called up before she gets a chance to even have a championship program.
That is very true. So now that I just got your thoughts on that, now we can wrap this up. Guys, This has been Smackdown. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Discuss on Tweetoff. And we will see you again for our Monday Night Raw review as we continue the march onward to SummerSlam.